Hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I would love to be with you in person, but I just wanted to take the time to share with you a few insights from London 2012 when we hosted the Olympic and Paralympic Games. My name's Janet Coyle. I'm the Managing Director for Business Growth at London & Partners. Now we are London's business growth and destination agency. But a few years ago, I was very privileged to be Associate Director for the London 2012 Games for London & Partners. And so what I'm going to share with you now is some of the planning we did in the lead up to hosting the London 2012 Games, what we did during Games time, and then some of the results and some of the learnings really, which I hope will be really valuable to all of you today. I know you're having a few round tables, so perhaps there'll be some food for thought for your discussions a little bit later. Now I joined probably about 5 years out of Games time itself, and my role was very much about developing a strategy that made sure that we created economic growth from the Olympic and Paralympic Games. What I'll focus on is some of the business elements and some of the tourism elements, and hope that really resonates with some of you in the room. Now, from a planning perspective, in the business area, there were three key things that we did. So first of all, we really identified where those business opportunities were around the Olympic Paralympic Games, from infrastructure to digital. There were so many different business opportunities. We understand how the procurement process would work, and then we helped businesses from around the world to navigate those opportunities. We did that through campaigns, we did that through events. We did events at the Beijing Games 4 years before we hosted the Games. We did it at the Vancouver Winter Games, but we also worked with lots and lots of businesses throughout that lead-in period. And you're probably doing that already because you're only about 18 months out now, so I'm sure that's already happening. The second thing we did was we created something called the Chairman's Club for the chairman of the top Olympic sponsors, Tier 1 domestic sponsors, the London Organising Committee of the Games, and some very senior ministers from government. And we did that to bring these chairmen or chairpeople together to discuss sustainability, to discuss the legacy, and to discuss how we collectively give the best experience we possibly could to the visitors coming into London. Now, we hosted these chairpeople in really unique venues. We kicked it off at 10 Downing Street with the Prime Minister with a breakfast, but the following year we would host them in a venue that hadn't yet been released to the public, so an Olympic venue, which they all really loved. That proved really, really beneficial because during Games time we knew who all the key people were at all the sponsors, in government, at LOCOG. So that might be worth you thinking about if you're not doing that already. We then we spent a lot of time planning our Games time hosting programme, and I learnt a lot from previous Olympic Games and also from the sponsors who really encouraged us to be very focused, to host business delegations in waves, like 3-day periods, which we did, and overall we bought tickets so we could host them at the Olympic Sport. And so I'll go on now to talk to you about what that really meant during Games time itself, because as you can imagine, it'll be very, very busy in Paris, and the more focused you can be and the more planning you can do in advance, the better. So we hosted our business programme, as I said, in 4 waves, 3 days at a time. So we welcomed 50 CEOs from around the world, all in the tech sector to start with. And we would do a combination of business events. We would take them to the Olympic sport and host them at the sport. And then we would also let them experience the amazing cultural activity that was taking place. And I would encourage you to do that in Paris. You will have the most amazing cultural programme, I'm sure, during Games time. So if you are hosting businesses, hosting CEOs, make sure that you include all the sort of cultural and the music and the theatre and anything else that you're doing, because that's what creates the magic. We were also responsible for hosting the Worldwide Media Centre in London, which was a massive task, as you can imagine. But what we did again is we retrained quite a lot of our staff around being spokespeople, around the media centre. So they were reallocated roles during games time itself. We worked very closely with the tourism industry, and our tourism campaign was actually centred around the year leading up to games time. We had heard and we'd seen all the data and the evidence that showed that tourism can drop during an Olympic and Paralympics. People get very nervous about going into a city that's going to be very busy and it might get quite expensive. So we packaged up lots of London activities for tourists and actually showcased 1 year like no other. And so we were encouraging people to come to London the 12 months leading up to the games itself, and that really, really paid off. What we also did is we worked with the tourism industry to reach an agreement with all the hotels to make sure they didn't start hiking their prices during games time. We wanted to build London's long-term reputation, not just over that period of 6 weeks. So that was really important that we worked together as a community. And our convention bureau worked with all the international delegations who were all wanting hospitality houses during games time. And we found them some really cool venues across London where they could have their Australia house or Canada house, the French house. And that also paid off because it really meant that we had all those relationships during the Olympics and Paralympics, and we knew what events were taking place. We actually partnered with them on many of the events. So as much support as you can give to these international delegations, the better. And it also made sure that we were very well connected into the International Olympic Committee and the other key stakeholders. So the results, what did we actually deliver? The business programme was really measured around how many jobs we created for Londoners. So how many of the businesses that we hosted went on to invest in London, expand in London, create jobs for Londoners. And I think in year one, we created about 3,500 new jobs for Londoners. It went on and this number multiplied over the coming years. And we have what we call a GVA model, an economic model, to really measure our impact in terms of economic growth from the activities we do. And we created about £170 million worth of GVA. Happy to share that with the model if anyone's interested. From a tourism perspective, because we did the 12 months campaign, we saw a 6% increase in visitor spend to 18.2 billion during that year leading up to the Games. We saw an increase in incoming holiday visitors as well, reaching a record 12.3 million. So that really paid off as well. So don't just focus on the Games time, but really think about that 12 months leading up to it. So for you, it will be starting from next summer. So I'm conscious of time, but a few key takeaways from me are, whatever organisation you are with today, just really think about how you can involve your whole team, your whole organisation. Don't just have a siloed team that are going to be working on the Paris Olympics. Make sure that you involve everybody. It's such a great opportunity to maybe retrain people, develop people, give people the experience like no other. Partner, I can't say this enough, is I think the reason I think we were so successful is we collaborated, we partnered with central government, with the stakeholders, with London Organising Committee, with the sponsors. You want to sort of really generate that feeling of community and partnership. And then make sure that you really think widely about whoever you're hosting, make sure that you bring in that cultural aspect, the sport, and then any business messages that you're wanting to get across. And then finally, just enjoy it. Enjoy the excitement of the lead-in, the lead-up to your games, and enjoy every minute of, delivering what you're going to do. It will be absolutely spectacular. I can't wait to come myself. It really is magical. So thank you for having me. And I hope to see you all in the summer of 2024. Thank you.